Stress can accelerate the aging process. But don't worry, we got you covered. Our expert guest will share valuable insights on how to stay well as we age. Welcome to the Path to Purpose interview show, where we dive into captivating and inspiring stories of experts who have discovered their purpose and are living it out every day. I'm Katja Rosanen, and my intention is to inspire you on your path to purpose. And today's interview is no exception. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Dr. Steve Ventola, a wellness chiropractor and whole health educator. Dr. Ventola is an expert in brain and gut health, as well as stress education for the aging population. He discovered his passion for health and wellness at the young age of 12 and has since dedicated his life to helping others optimize their health and well-being. In this interview, he will share how to address the stress in our lives and stay well as we age. So sit back, relax, and be ready to get inspired. So welcome, Dr. Ventola. I'm so excited that you are here.
Thank you, Katja. I'm glad to be here too.
And first thing I want to ask, because you mentioned in your bio that you found your purpose at the age of 12.
Yes.
Was there a special event that led you to this path?
The event was partly my mother had a gallbladder attack. And when I was 12, our doctors made home visits here in the States. I don't know if they do that anymore, but before the doctor got there, my mother was on the couch in pain. And I just had this inherent feeling to go up to her and put my hand on her abdomen, on her stomach, and just to help calm her until the doctor got there. And that was a first little inspiration in terms of laying my hands on someone. And then when I was playing sports, I was athletic, very athletic when I was younger. I realized that in order to play as well as possible, I needed to eat well. I needed to learn more about health. So at that age, it planted another seed in me that's my interest, and that I wanted to follow my interest along those lines. So that's how it began at 12 years old.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. And I love that it was like kind of the natural thing for you to do at that young age.
Yes.
And finding your path already then. And I know you have done tons of studies, and I just briefly introduced you, but there is a lot of studies that you have done, because this is really your calling, that and there is this willingness to help as many people as you can.
Yes.
So let's talk about stress for a while. Let's start there, because our audience, many of them are entrepreneurs, and that's not always the easiest path. There is some levels of stress involved. And how does the stress affect the aging process?
For sure. Yes. Stress is really handling stress effectively in a healthy way is our average for health. If we don't, our body's going to feel it. If our adrenals get stressed, that can affect our thyroid. If our thyroid gets affected, that can affect the rest of our body. It can influence our detoxification processes. If that happens, we're all vulnerable to heavy metals in the environment. And if our body's not able to detoxify, those metals can build up and affect our nervous system, the way we think, the way we feel about things. It can cause us to feel more irritable, more easily agitated. And in terms of being a spiritual entrepreneur, like finding our pace, how important it is to find our pace. I like to call it pace with grace. Finding our rhythms, our flow. And a big thing I emphasize in my classes is you got to find your balance, your flow state between activity and rest. To find that flow state within. If you're overamping, you're jamming. If you're underamping, you feel like you're not doing enough, you're bored. Part of addressing stress is actually utilizing, you can say, the turgor of life that's pushing us forward, but finding a flow within that. Does that help answer your question? and
That
more.
is, and because you mentioned this, there is the healthy way to address stress, and you started describing. So now, if somebody is like, okay, I get that I'm more on the overstimulated, like a lot
Yes.
of things happening, a lot of
Yeah.
financial pressure. I need to get clients. I need to get this program out. All these things piling up.
Right.
So, what would be your recommendation? Of course, without knowing more in details, but what would be one thing that they can do to start addressing the stress in a healthy way?
Well, the first thing is breathing. I'm sure a lot of you as spiritual entrepreneurs realize how important breathing is. And
Mhm.
as a heart math practitioner, the work that I do with heart math, recognizing part of the breathing process is uprighting yourself, putting your feeling, a conscious feeling attention on our heart. When we do that, it takes the spin. It can lower the spin or reduce the spin that accelerates when we feel like we got to get things done. Uprighting yourself, breathing in slow through our heart and breathing out slower.
Mm.
That actually helps activate the parasympathetic system, which brings a sense of calm.
Mm.
That's a starting point. Those two things, uprighting yourself and breathing through your heart.
I love that because that is something everyone can do. And it is true, like sometimes we might find ourselves like breathing shallow because our mind is racing 1,000 kilometers or miles per hour. And then we are, in a way, even though our body breathes us, but sometimes we are forgetting to take those deep breaths. And I have
Yes.
tested that myself. I find calmness so quick when I tune into that breathing.
Yeah.
So
That's
then,
very helpful.
yeah, it is. And one thing I know we might go a little bit sideways here, sidetrack here, but when you mentioned the heart math, there was
Yes.
this spark of curiosity because our listeners might be as well like, what's
Sure.
that?
Sure.
So,
Heart Math is the Heart Math Institute out of California. Actually, Doc Childred started Heart Math, and he was in the South, you can say, as a Southern Christian there, and he was reading the Bible, saying his prayers, but he realized he wasn't making the connection, he thought, with communion with God. So he did some of his own thinking, and that's how Heart Math came around, where the processes he's developed with the Heart Math Institute, it's allowing folks to, you can say, come into a state of coherence, where there's a sense of inner and outer synchronization. And they've coupled it with science, where they're using a heart rate variability sensor that you connect to your ear, so you can actually see if you're in a state of coherence based on your heart rate rhythms. So your heart rate variability is basically the space of time between each heart contraction. And there should be a slight variability to that. When there's a healthy variability to that, you feel thought-wise healthy. You feel emotionally healthy. You feel physically healthy. You feel like all is well, which allows you to actually feel like, okay, this is what I need to do now. This is what I need to do later. There's a sequence. It allows for a sequence. So a big thing with stress is that we jam things, especially as spiritual entrepreneurs. We feel like we need to get things done and we're jamming, and we're overamping, and we're causing our body to become more acidic. That accelerates the aging process. So with Heart Math, it really helps to bring some synchronization consciously.
yeah. And that brings me to, and I love that because there is this harmony of with things. And also, when we have the harmony, what we have to do in the world, but also what our body is going through this process with aging. And you say that you help individuals stay well as they age. So, can you explain what do you mean with that?
Yeah, that leads to a large conversation. I've been spearheading a conscious healthy aging platform for a group program. I also have a self-study course in that respect. But consciously is like becoming aware. There's an abundance of health information, and there's so many different angles of approach that are given for aging. But I like to put it into a structure of cultivating your purpose. The next is being aligned with that purpose. And then having conscious care for your physical body And then ultimately, the fourth part is playing your part. Like, why should you be healthy unless you're playing your part? Like, Katja, with your program, you're looking for spiritual orientation for entrepreneurs so that they can live and be productive and enjoy their lives. It's the same thing with anyone, really. Why should we be healthy? It's to play our part in life. And as elders, I can see our elders needing to play our part with each other elder, but actually turning our attention now. I'm turning my attention with the platform to seeing how we can provide a sound influence for the younger populations to play our part with that population.
Yeah, and I love how, well, this show is called Path of Purpose, and you started finding that purpose, finding that reason for being. So, in your opinion, how do people find their reason for being?
Wonderful question. That's a great question, Katja. Okay, I have a diagram that's came through my consciousness, and the top of the diagram is a circle, like a sun, to recognize that each of us is an inherent essence of light. You can say of one light that needs to permeate this world, but each of us plays a part in that uniquely. But that light needs to be received into our heart first. We have to feel that light. And the way we do that, again, heart math is helpful, because once your body's in its right rhythms, that allows your heart to be in a receptive mode. With heart math too, it also cultivates attitudes of thankfulness, gratefulness, kindness. When those attitudes are instilled and our mind is fixed for our heart to stay in that position, then there's a sensing through our heart and then an awareness into our mind, our conscious mind. It filters into our mind. And then when that happens, heart, mind, then there's flow through, energetic flow through our body that can get out into the world. It gives us the energy to play our part in the world and to offer an emanating influence. And the word of aging, like, people get the idea, I don't want to think about aging, but aging comes from an ancient word meaning vital force, translated to vital force. So I've been emphasizing that as we get older, we should be emanating a greater vital force that people can feel. We might not be so physically active as when we're younger, but the emanation of our force is felt and known. And another thing with heart math, it recognizes that our heart extends a field, that people pick up what we're feeling more than what we're thinking, because we're extending that feeling field that people can be enveloped in and synchronized with.
I love that vital force. That is such a powerful way how to see aging, because that's happening whether you like it or not. That's the contract here in the Earth School. I feel like we come here and we go through this process, but it's, again, what definition you give to aging. So that vital force, like how we connect and use it.
Yes. Let me add one more point to that, Katja. Like, our vital force is here to provide a force into the world. You can say all the negative forces in the world, they're all coming at us. But we have to be such in a position where the vital force emanating from us pushes out, clears the field. It clears the field for the world for something from, in chiropractic, we call it above, down, inside out, where the light that we inherently are is getting out into the world and making its influence. So it can now pressure all the negativity, all the junk that's happening in the world, so that this world can transform to be a world of light.
I love that. And what does it take? Because talking about the alignment, what does it take to stay in alignment? Because yes, there is a lot of stuff happening.
Yes.
And how can one stay in alignment with one's reason for being?
Katja, you should attend my classes, everybody we're speaking to too, because I've covered that piece where it talks about the rhythms. There's rhythms. Now, you can say you start here, you make progress, but then there's rhythms where, there's a flow and then letting go, and then you'll start to, like, temper down from something you're intense about. And then when you're tempered down in this area here, there could be a sensing of discouragement. But to recognize the life flow is still moving through you. But at that point there, if you get discouraged and you attach to that discouragement, it will take you out of the cycle that will naturally move back to a new cycle. Provided you just recognizing those low points in the cycle as just part of the phase that it's going to pass, that I'm just going to rest. I'm going to empty out of old controls. I'm going to give thanks for the point I'm in, to let the infusion of life, the current that's moving beyond our conscious awareness, to allow us to move up to another point. So we started here, there's a rhythm here, and then there's a rhythm here, but we're higher in the momentum. So I have a whole discussion about that to help us continue.
Yeah. And I feel like what comes forward for me as well is having that acceptance and compassion towards ourselves as we go through those different rhythms. I feel like in the modern world, it's always you need to be in that peak performance.
Right.
And if you're not, then there is something wrong with you. And I personally, I go through creative cycles, for example.
Right.
Sometimes I get tons of things done, and then sometimes need to take that time off and just create a space for new ideas to come true.
Right. I know, when I create, I have a lot of papers, but there's a point where you got to have time to throw things out, Yeah. Otherwise things build up, and, a cluttered environment doesn't help your consciousness.
So I know now people might be like, okay, ask that question. What is the ultimate way to stay healthy as you age?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll have to think about that for a moment there. I would say the ultimate aspect of staying healthy as we age is our state of consciousness. And our state of consciousness relates to our heart. And I like to look at our heart as the golden bowl, to keep the golden bowl of our filled with attitudes that are life-natured, of thankfulness, appreciation. And that is the central essence of staying well as we age.
Yeah. And I see that difference when we have that gratitude in our daily life. It just shows also, it's kind of like this energy of light that radiates from us when we have that gratitude. And it's such a gift that we can give ourselves.
Yes.
And you have totally given us a lot to think about today. And I know you put together a special gift for my community to take what we have been talking here today and go deeper with you. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I've put together an Essentials to Stay Well as You Age PDF, basically, to give the essences of diet, of lifestyle, of supplementation, and actually testing. There's a test that I really recommend. It's healthy genomics, healthy DNA genomics, where it's not looking to see what country you're from or what disease you might get. It's more in terms of what health genomics need to be supported that you might be compromised with. So I put that all into a package of all those elements that for your interests, and you're basically seeing the essentials for staying well as you age encapsulated.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that gift. And you will find the link in the notes below. And now, as we start wrapping up here, do you have a special message that you would like to share?
Oh, I love that opportunity. My message is, let's play our part in life. As spiritual entrepreneurs, if, just the name spiritual entrepreneurs, we know we want to make a difference. And to make that difference, though, we need to play our part in a way that's coherent, that's balanced, that's sensible, that's sound, that's receivable. So I join you with that. I join with you, Katja, in that respect, as well as all those who are listening here, to make the difference spiritually so the light can fill this world.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Ventola, for sharing your valuable insights with us today. And if you found this interview helpful, please give thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more inspiring content. And don't forget to check out our previous episodes too. I'm sending you lots of love and light. Bye for now.